Hello, Mr. Paul here, and I'm going to be walking you through this Piano Adventures Lesson Book Level 1 by Faber. So a lot of teachers like this book. I use it myself sometimes. I also use some other things as well. But for a kid just getting started on piano, it's great. So depending on when your child started, they might have already run through the primer book, which is the one before this, or they might just be starting off in this book. So regardless, if they're starting in this one, they might have a little catching up to do, but that's no problem. That's something their teacher can help them out with. So how these lesson videos are gonna go down, just so you know, is I'm gonna do a performance at the beginning at a fairly quick tempo there, so if they can keep up, great. If not, that's fine. It gives them something to work on, and they'll be on YouTube, so you can actually change that playback speed setting at the beginning, so you can run the performance at like 50% speed or 75%, and they can try to play along to that if they want. So those are all at the beginning of the videos, and then I'm gonna dive deeper into the songs after that with a mini lesson. So that's the structure of all this. You get to hear the song first, then we talk about it, and then in a lot of the lessons I end up kind of playing it again anyways, just a little slower and discussing it a little more as I play it. So that's what to expect from these videos in case you're not sure. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Let's dive through some of the beginner material here because they don't get to an actual song until like page 8 or 9 or something. So this would be a good chance to kind of see if they already know some of this stuff or not, because they're kind of testing you out to see if you learn this stuff from primer. So they may or may not know this stuff. Let's just go over it a little bit. So on page 4, and they even say right here, primer review. So they may or may not know this stuff, but they're saying, hey, we got some different notes here of different values, if you will. And they just want us to know how many beats each of these notes last for. So if a beat is just us kind of keeping tempo to a song, quarter note's gonna take up 1 beat, so these would be quarter notes. Half notes are gonna take up 2 beats worth of time. 2 beats, 2 beats, 2 beats. Your dotted half note's gonna take up 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then your whole note's gonna take up 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They might already know this stuff, they might not. So that's something they could talk about with their teacher. And then we have this thing, which is a rest. So that means do nothing for exactly 1 beat. So that's good to know. Next, they're talking time signatures. So we get 4, 4. That's what we call that, 4/4 time signature, that 4 over 4. So this top number is telling us, hey, there's 4 beats in a measure, and this bottom number is telling us that quarter note gets the beat. That could be a little confusing. Again, something they could talk with their teacher. But then 3, 4, well, there's only 3 beats in every measure. Quarter note still gets the beat. So if we're tapping our foot or clicking our fingers, that's all gonna be quarter note pacing there. Next, they have dynamic marks. And dynamics are the louds and softs in music. So it's a fancy word for how loud or soft they want us to play. So here, forte, which we'll see as an F in our music a lot, means loud. Piano, which will look like a P, is soft. And then we get some like mezzo fortes and mezzo pianos and things like that. So in this case, mezzo forte, which is moderately loud. So I don't know if you can see my scribbles here. And that's something, again, teacher could talk a little more about. But there's like a full range with this stuff. So, if we see 3 Ps, that's like as quiet as you can play. If we see 3 Fs, that's like as loud as you can play. And there's like a whole range in here that, as we move through the book, we'll discuss more. But it's kind of good to have a general idea that forte's loud, piano soft. And then there's kind of shades of that from there. Down here, it says note names. Name the notes below. So you just got to write the notes in. So we get G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. I went through it super quick. But again, this is kind of something they're meant to go through with your teacher. Page 5. Steps. It says steps move from a line to a space or a space to a line on the staff. All right, so it says draw the steps up or down. So we have a D here. If we step up, we're going to this E on the line. Space to a line. We have step down, so we're on a line note, so we're going to step down to a space note, so G to F. Step up. We were on an E, so we're going to step up to F. And here it says step down, so we're on an F and we're going to step down to E. Skips move from line to line or space to space, so it's a bigger jump. So we draw a skip down from here, we're going to jump right to the next line, line to line. Skip up from here, A to C, we're going to go space to space. There we got F, A, C, E. We got an E there, and we're just get down to C. Space to space. Then skip up from B to D, line to line. So it's kind of like a visual thing to help us identify that a little more. And then they have a 5-finger scale warm-up. It says play hands alone and hands together. Hands together could be a little trickier. Basically, we're going to set up in the C position. They might know this already, they might not. And if we play this together, we get... And then wants to do it again, but piano. So the first time forte, here's our repeat sign. Do it again, but keep it quiet this time. Sweet. And then they're saying, oh, if you want to move into this G position, you could do the same thing. So it's a preview. We haven't talked about this yet, but basically we take this position, move it up to G's, and do the same thing. And it should sound basically like the same deal, just a little higher on the piano. I kind of blasted through that G one just to give you an idea, but that's something you can spend a little more time on with your teacher. Okay, so on pages 6 and 7 here, it says a head start for treble clef line. So they're trying to get you ahead of the game here a little bit. And it says my first name is EGB, my last name's DF. So we get these line notes is what we'd say. All these notes are on a line, E, G, B, D, F. So if any of you have taken any sort of piano lesson or a music lesson, you might be familiar with Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge or Every Good Boy Does Fine. It's just ways of kind of remembering what these notes are on the line. Some of my favorites, Every Good Burger Deserves Fries, Elvis's Guitar Broke Down Friday. One of my students had one about an elephant. I can't remember what it was now. But they can come up with their own, but Every Good Boy Does Fine is the classic there. And they're showing you how these notes line up with the keys on the piano. So they don't need to memorize this stuff right away. It's just kind of getting it in their head ahead of time. And there's a couple little exercises here if they want to do that. Then they're getting us prepped for some notes on the bass clef on page 7 here. They get into this deeper in the book, so we don't have to worry about this too much. Again, it's just a head start. But they're saying G is on the very bottom line, D is on the middle line, A is on the top line, and they're kind of showing you how these fit on the piano in relationship to middle C. Middle C being this C here, so all these notes are below it. So this A is there, that D is there, and that G is there. So again, something I probably wouldn't spend too much time on with my students at the very beginning because we're just gonna hit it later in the book anyways. And then we got what says name and play these notes. When needed, think what is the closest smart note, then move up or down. So they got a little note challenge in the left hand that they can do with the teacher there. And that's it for the review stuff. Then we officially get into our first song, Firefly, on page 8, which I'll do in another video. But they are claiming it's a review piece, so that means maybe we know all this stuff if we've been through primer. Well, if we haven't been through the primer books, some of the stuff might be new. It's fine either way. We could work through it. So, all right, that's it for the intro video. So good luck watching these. I hope they help, and I'll see you at the end.